Hi, everyone. Mike White here. Welcome to this week's vlog post. It was some interesting feedback last week on, about the blog post and, talking about, paying attention to that first call. And during that, I mentioned a little bit about conversion rates and I shared a little bit of information, and a few people responded that, they wanted to know a little bit more about conversion rates and the things that I track and what I do and how do I go about it. So I just wanted to spend a little bit of time this week talking about how to track your conversion rates in a way that'll really help your business, because I think far too often people are focused on just lead generation and seeing where leads come from and generating, how many leads can I generate. But it's really important that you track conversion rates, because leads are one thing, and obviously that's the beginning of the process, but it's not the thing that actually generates the money. It's the process by which we convert those leads into closed units. And I think far too often people don't break it down enough to look at it and say, hey, here's what's coming in, here's where it came from, here's how the process went, and how many people progress to each stage. Now, there are a variety of different things that you can do and things that you can track. I'm just going to share with you what I find helpful. And obviously, you can look at your own process and you can do it differently. But I think it's really important that you just have an understanding of some of the things you could be tracking and maybe should be tracking, and seeing the relationship with each other, because all markets are different, all marketing is different, all referral sources are different opportunities come from, different types of things. And I think it's really important that in addition to having your overall conversion rate from, first contact to closing, that you do look at it and break it down so that you can see where things are coming from, as well as maybe some of the things you can look at within your process to improve those numbers. So the things that I like to share, and there's basically just 6 things that I put out there to track. And originally, the first thing that I track is who's the referral source, because I usually have a subcategory where the following 5 items are really what I track. But you do, and you should have an overall number. And that way you can look at referral sources or where those leads came from and compare them to each other as far as what those conversion rates look like, how different things affect you differently. So obviously, referral source is the first one. The second one is, of those referrals, how many do I actually make contact with? Because we all know we don't always speak to everybody that is referred to us or that we've reached out to. So the first thing is the referral source. Second thing is that initial contact. How'd that conversation go? The third thing can be broken up a couple of different ways, and I know people work their business differently, but I put them together because it's sort of the same thing as your filtration process. What are the people? Who are the people that I pull credit on and do that preliminary documentation collection, right? And I know some people don't bother to get docs at all. They have an initial conversation with the client fills out an application, they pull credit, but they really don't document the file. Other people don't bother to pull credit because that costs money until they've seen the documentation to make sure the representations that buyer's making are worth spending the money on pulling that credit report. So you've got to judge that for yourself, but you get the idea. The next stage of that would be the credit pull and the collecting of that preliminary documentation. The following stage of that is, once we've pulled credit and collect documentation, is looking at, of those people that we spoke to and pulled credit on and got documentation, what percentage of those people were we able to pre-approve? Because not everybody we speak to is going to be pre-approvable. So that is obviously an important stage and something to look at, because that's going to vary widely. different referral sources and different referral methods, different lead generation types of things are going to yield different types of results. It's important to know that. So after pre-approval, it's how many of those pre-approvals actually go into contract, and then from contract, how many of those contracts actually close. And it's really important that you break those things down, because not all properties that go into contract close, not all clients that go into contract, don't close on their first house, but maybe close, a deal later on. But it's important to know that. What does that look like? And there are some subcategories that you can put into in there, such as, how many days, your own personal preferences to what other categories you'd like. I also like to keep track of gestation periods on a monthly basis, right? Based upon the people who went into contract, when did I first speak to them? Was it 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120, 180, whatever? Because that also tells you how quickly your market is moving and how quickly those people who are coming to you are moving based upon where they came from. So that can be important as well. So in general, you want to track all of your leads. You want to put them all into one big basket and have your total conversion rates all the way through the process. But you do want to break it up by referral source or lead source, because that will give you some really important information to make sure that you have a clear understanding of those leads, those referrals, where they're coming from, where you're spending time and energy. Because one of the things you got to remember is the best referral source isn't necessarily the one who sends you the most leads and the one who closes the most loans. The best referral sources are the ones who have the best conversion rates. And you need to pay attention to that, because sometimes, you can get an awful lot of activity out of a particular referral source that doesn't always generate the same amount or reasonable return on the investment in time and money and energy that you spend on those referrals to convert them. So it's really important that you look at that, especially when you're looking at your referral sources. So again, remember, it's not just about lead generation, because leads are great, but leads don't make you money. Conversions, closings are what makes you money. And it's really important that you know these things. Now, as some people have, mentioned to me, and I've already set appointments to speak to them, if you'd like some help with working through this and figuring this out and understanding the dynamics of what the numbers look like, you've got to reach out to me. You've got to let me know that you'd like to have this conversation and you'd like some help putting this together. And I can't necessarily know what you're thinking. So what you have to do is go to mike@imtcoaching.com and let me know that you'd like to talk about this. I'll respond. We'll set up a time to talk, and we'll see where it goes from there. As always, if you need anything, let me know. And if not, we'll speak again next week. Take care.